everyone, welcome to the channel DevOps Tech Stack. So today in this DevOps Essential series, we are going to learn about how to Dockerize a Golang application. If you watch my previous videos, I have already discussed about the Python and Java application, but today we are going to learn about the Golang application basically. Okay. So you don't need to worry much about the application side because that is going to be managed by the development team. But today, with a simple Hello World example, we are going to write a Golang application. Okay. Why Golang? So Golang is basically a modern programming language which is very faster in comparison to Python and Java application. So if you see most of the DevOps tools, they are written in Golang programming language. So now what are the key takeaway from this particular video? So we are going to write a simple Golang application. Then I will teach you how you can Dockerize that particular application. Then I am going to run and test that Dockerized application in my local environment as well as on the Docker containers and as well as on the Kubernetes cluster. So all those things I am going to discuss in this particular video. So don't miss it. Watch till the end. You will not regret watching this particular video. So the very first step is you are going to clone this particular repo. I am going to share this particular entire code in my GitHub repository. You can directly clone from there and I would better suggest you can write it in your own way. I will just share each and every step in this particular video. You can perform the same step as well instead of directly cloning the repo. That will make it more easier for you. Now, the very first step is how you are going to create a Golang application. So, if you want to write any Golang application, so inside that particular folder, the very first command you need to run is go mod init go app. So, my application name is go app, and this application I am initializing it as a go module. That's why the command is go mod init, and then the go app is my application name. So once you run this particular command inside any folder, that particular folder will be treated as a Golang application and it will initialized with that particular Go modules. Okay. So now Go mod init is the command that officially turns a simple directory into a modern Go project and track dependencies for your project. Okay. So for now, this is my folder. Okay. This Golang is my folder and I want to treat it as a Golang application. So inside this particular folder, I am going to run the command go mod init go app. So once you run this particular command inside your folder, you will see that go.mod file is created with this particular content. Okay. This is my application name and this is the Go version which this particular application will be using. So all these things will automatically come into picture once you run the init command. Okay. So now my Go mod initialization step is performed. After that, the main file is the main.go. So main.go is the main file from where your Golang application will start running. Okay. So inside this file, what I have done, this is a simple main.go file where I am reading a index.html file that is my custom index.html file which will be served on the web browser. Once you run this particular application over the browser, you will see that whatever the content you have written in the index.html file, here I have just written hello world, this will be printed over the browser. So this main.go file, nothing it is doing, it is just reading this index.html file and it is serving over the web browser. This is a simple application or Golang application which is just reading an index.html file and serving you the response on the web browser. Okay, you don't need to go in detail of the application, but I have just shown you what I have written in this particular application. Okay, so this all code I will be sharing on the GitHub repo, so you don't need to worry about that part. Apart from that, whatever the application I have written, it will be listening on the port 8080. Okay, so if you are going to do the port forward, you need to make sure that you are port forwarding your request to the port 8080 because my app is listening on this particular port. Okay, so you can just go through it. Apart from that, what is the next step? Next step is I want to run this particular application locally. So how to run this application locally? You just need to run the command go run and then main.go, because this is my main file. So I can just run go run main.go. Okay. And once the app starts running, you can access the web page from your local machine. As I told you that on your local machine, it will be running on the port 8080, because this particular application is being listening on the port 8080. So just wait for this to be running. And yes, now it is started. So just copy this, because now I'm running it locally. So it will be accessible over the local host. Just go to your web browser. And now you can see this particular response which is coming from the index.html file. Whatever the text or whatever the indentation, everything is coming from the index.html file basically. Okay. And this main.go file is reading that particular index.html file. So this is how you are running this Golang application in your local environment. But this is not the case in your project, right? You are going to run it inside the container or inside the Kubernetes cluster. So that depends on your project requirement, right? So now first we will go with the Docker container, how you are going to deploy it on the Docker container. So before deploying that in your Docker container, you Dockerize this application, right? So how you are going to Dockerize this application? You need to write a Docker file. So let's go and write a simple Docker file which is going to Dockerize this Go application. Okay. So now here I'm going to create a multi-stage container image so that you can reduce the weight of your application. Your Docker image size will not be big. You are going to build this particular image layer by layer so that your final image size will be very less. So let's go to your Docker file content. This is my Docker file. The very first step in my Docker file is that I am going to run this particular application inside a Golang image where already the necessary tools for running your Go application is already assigned. If you go to the Docker Hub official site, you will see that this particular image is available. And inside this particular image, the minimum things which are required to run a Golang application is already installed, and you don't have to install that part. And I am giving it a alias name as builder. So means that this particular stage is coming under the builder name. Okay. So after that, what I am doing, after that, I am setting a non-root user for safety so that all the steps which I'm going to perform in the later steps are going to be running as a non-root user, not as an admin user. So I'm making sure that I create a non-root user with the name builder user. Okay. So create a new user named builder user inside the container, and -d flag. What this flag does, this flag tells add user to create the user without a password, which means any user can log in without any setting any password. I'm going to create a user, and also I'm not going to create a home directory for this user, because this user is just useful for running this particular Golang application. I'm not going to create a separate directory for it. Okay. So for the better security purpose, I am creating a non-root user inside the container with the name builder user. After that, my work directory is /app, means whatever the commands I will run in the later steps, that all commands will be executed inside this particular path, that is /app. Okay, this is my working directory inside the container. After that, what you are doing? Your main file, whatever the main file you have, that is main.go, then you have index.html. So all these files from your local machine, you are copying inside the container current directory. This dot means current directory. So my current directory is /app. So inside the /app, you are going to copy main.go and index.html there. Okay. After that, what I'm doing, this is one of the command which is running the main.go file, this particular file, right? Main.go. So this particular main.go file will be running inside the container with this particular command. So let's get into deeper of this. The very first is this particular flag, cgu hyphen underscore enabled equal to 0. That means your Go application will be statically linked, producing a single executable file. At the end, inside the container, you need a single executable file that can directly be ran inside the container and your server can serve the request, right? So in that case, you need to enable this file or flag. Okay. After that, I want to run it inside a Linux based environment. So this particular flag will make sure that this executable should be allowed to run on the Linux environment. Okay. Now the next is go build. Go build like Maven package you do, right? Maven build. Same like that, you have one command for go build so that you can build this particular Go application so that a single executable file is produced from this particular command. And after that, your in hyphen o7, what it will do? It is giving the file path, which file you want to execute, right? So you want for this main.go file, you want a single executable file. So the file path is main.go. Okay. So with the help of this particular step, you are going to get a single executable file that is going to run inside the container. Okay. After that, what I am doing, I am creating another layer from scratch basically. Okay. So this is a special empty base image provided by the Docker. It contains absolutely nothing, no operating system, no shell, nothing is there inside this particular image. So in the second stage, I have one image called as the scratch where nothing is installed so that the final image size for this my application will be very less. So that's why I'm keeping this particular base image. Again, I'm setting the working directory as slash app. After that, I am copying few things from this particular stage. This is my first stage, right? As builder. This one is my first stage. So the output, whatever you got from this stage, I am copying the output to the second stage. So how you are going to do it? So here from the particular stage one name is hyphen hyphen builder, right? So from this stage, I am copying inside the slash app, whatever the things you are copying the server and you are copying the index.html page. These two things I am copying from the previous stage to this particular stage that is called in the scratch one. Okay. So what is this slash server? Slash server is the single executable file which you got by running this particular command, that is the go build command, so that you got a single executable file and that you are copying into the current working directory, that is slash app inside the stage 2. After that, you are using one non-root user. So basically all the non-root user have a UID as 1000. So that particular user I am using. Then I'm exposing this particular port because it is running on the port 8080 inside the container. So this particular is the command. After that, at the end, inside the container, you want to run this dot slash server. So this is my single executable file and I want to run it inside the container. So this will come as the entry point instruction. And finally, your application will be running inside the Golang, inside the container. Okay. So a high level view is I have created two stage so that your final image size will be very less. The very first stage is where a simple Golang image I am using, which is having the minimum tools which are required for running the Go application are installed. After that, I'm creating a non-root user to run my all command. I am setting the work directory as slash app and from my local environment, I am copying the main.go and index.html page inside the slash app directory. Okay. After that, I am running a go build command to package this particular Go application so that it converts into a single executable file that is called as the server, right? This is the single executable file. And this single executable file, again, I'm copying in the stage 2 to a different base image, and this base image is very less in size because it does not have any operating system or anything installed in it. It is a simple base image. Okay. After that, finally I am running the dot slash server inside my container. So this is how my image is created, right? So now you have created a simple Docker file. Now what you need to do? You need to build this Docker file into an image. You need to push it onto the Docker Hub so that you can deploy it on the Kubernetes as well. Okay. So let's go to the next step. Now my next step is you need to build, tag and push this Docker image to your Docker registry. So the very first step is just run this particular command. I will do Control C. Okay. Hit enter. So now finally your image is built. So you can run the command Docker images. You will see your image is now built. So this is my image, right? Now using this image, you can run this particular Golang application inside the Docker container. So how to do it? After that, I will go with the Kubernetes. First, let's try to run this. So this is my command to run inside the Docker container. So I am running in the detached mode so that nothing is visible onto the screen. It will run behind the screen. The container name is Go app. Again, it is running inside the container on the port 8080 and same I am exposing on the my machine as well, kind of port forward. And after that, which image you are going to use? I am going to use the image Go web app. This is the image, right? And by default, it will use the latest tab. So just run this particular command and then you can run the command docker ps. You will see that Go web app is now running and it is available inside this particular container. Now I want to open it over the browser. You can just copy this particular command, go to incognito mode and run this. And now you are seeing the response. Why you are seeing the response? Because you have already done the port forward in this particular command as well. Okay. So using this command, you are already doing the port forward. So you are you are not doing it explicitly. It is just available over the browser on your local host. Done, right? And if you want to see the logs for this container as well, so you can just write the command docker logs -s and then the container ID. Okay. It is just having printing the message server is listening on port 8080. Okay. That's what you are printing in your main.go file. Done, right? Till here we are done. Now I want to deploy the same application on the Kubernetes cluster. But to access this image on the Kubernetes cluster, you need to make sure that this particular image is available on your Docker Hub website. So how to do it? Let's try to push it into the Docker Hub. So now you already have the image over it, right? So now I want to push it on the Docker Hub site. So let's try to log in. I will push it to the Docker Hub registry. Okay. So now I am already logged into my account on the Docker Hub registry. So the very first is you need to tag this particular image so that you can push it. Okay. Docker tag. This is my image and latest tag. And after that, you need to make sure that you tag with this particular username. Okay. And then same thing. Okay. Already done. Now you can run the command docker push and this particular registry path. So now my image is already pushed onto the Docker Hub registry for my account. I think it will be public only. So you don't need to worry about that part. So it's done. Okay. My image is already pushed and the latest tag I'm using. So now you need to create a simple deployment file where you are going to pull this particular image and run it inside the Kubernetes cluster. So let's go to my deployment file. Okay. So in this deployment file, I'm not doing much. The kind is deployment. The inside the metadata section, I'm going to write the name of this deployment file. So the name of this deployment is Go app deployment, and the label I'm setting on this deployment is app colon Go app. Okay. After that, in the specification section of this deployment, I'm mentioning that for this deployment, I want the two pods to be up and running state. So I'm mentioning the replica S2. Again, inside the selector section, I am writing that this deployment will only manage those pods which are having the label set as app colon go app. Inside the template section, you need to specify the template for your pod. So in the for the pod, again my label will be app colon go app so that it can be managed by your deployment. Under the spec section, you are going to specify the specification for your pod. So in this pod, basically, I just have only one container. So that container name is Go App Container, and it will pull my image from the Docker Hub registry, and it will be running inside the port 8080 inside the pod. Okay. So you need to specify the image name correct over here. So my image is this one, right? I will use this image. By default, anyhow, it will take the latest tag, so you don't need to worry about this part. After that, just see if you have kubectl get pods. Let's see if you have Kubernetes cluster running or not. So you can see my previous videos where I have already shared how you can create a simple Kubernetes cluster. And on top of that, you can deploy this particular deployment file. So you don't need to do much. You just copy the path of this deployment file and run it over here. It will be deployed onto the default namespace. Now run the command kubectl get pods. It will take some time to pull the image. And since you have mentioned two replicas, so two replicas are now done. This gives it some time. And now it is up and running. Okay. After that, once it is up and running, let's try to do the port forward and access this particular application. So to do that, kubectl port forward. I will port forward this particular pod. Okay. Again, port will be same 8080 colon 8080. Okay. And now you can access it over the local host. So just do localhost 8080 and it is accessible. Okay. So this is how a simple Golang application can be Dockerized. You can write your application, you can Dockerize it, you can write a simple Docker file, you can build image out of it, you can push that particular image to your artifact registries, or and then you can also deploy it on the Docker container or onto the Kubernetes cluster. So this is a simple flow which I tried to explain. You can try to do it on your system. If you have any doubt, you can write in the comment section. I will try to clarify that in my next video. Till then, take care. Have a good day. Bye.